Hello everybody, my name is SquirrelBytes, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome back to another OC discussion! Wow! Woo! If you haven't seen my other OC discussions, you're probably gonna be lost, so here's a playlist to my Warrior Cats OCs. So let's get right into it. Today's OC is Batfang, which is Shadesong's brother. Batkit and Shadekit were both born to Inkpelt and Ratfur. Batkit, in particular, really liked to brag about how his dad, Ratfur, was the deputy. He'd brag about this to all the other kits in the nursery. He'd even sometimes brag about it to Shadekit, who was his sister. In short, he was a huge daddy's boy. He'd wait by the entrance of the nursery all day waiting for Ratfur to come back and tell him all the stories of what happened this patrol. Oh, which warrior is being a little bit of a pain in the tail today? Batkit wanted to hear about it all. So it really hit Batkit pretty hard when the news came by that Ratfur died. Batkit didn't hear much about it. All he really heard was that his dad passed in a border scuffle. This ruined him. Of course, his mother, Inkpelt, tried her best to comfort him where she could, but nothing really seemed to work. Nothing except for picking on the other kids. He started bullying Pridekit, Shadekit, and Ashkit. Pridekit in particular was not having it. She was very quick to defend herself and her friends whenever he tried anything. Because she didn't just take it, this caused a huge rivalry between Pridekit and Batkit. Eventually, they all become apprentices. But when he was assigned Duskcloud as a mentor, all Batpaw could think was, Ratfur should be here. Ratfur should be my mentor. Right off the bat, by the very fact that Duskcloud was not Ratfur, Batpaw felt huge resentment towards him. He didn't want to do what Duskcloud said. That was that. It didn't matter to him that Duskcloud was trying to teach him how to be a good warrior. The fact that it was coming from Duskcloud meant that he did not want to do it. It took a few visits to the leader's den for him to finally start listening to Duskcloud, not out of respect, but because he was getting annoyed by being sent to the leader's den all the time. And picking ticks from elders was not very fun. He also didn't have a really good relationship with his sister either. He was devastated over Ratfur's death. But looking over to Shadepaw, it looked like she didn't care at all. She was going about her life with almost zero change in her behavior. It seemed like she was living life as if nothing happened while Batpaw was sat here mourning his father. Batpaw had just begun his life and he was living day to day with this heavy weight on his chest that he could just not take off, while Shadepaw was doing just fine. And this angered him. This didn't only anger him because, well, Ratfur was her father too, she should care. But it angered him because he wished it could be him. He wished he could be apathetic towards his father's death. He wished that he could just live every day as if that day did not happen. But he couldn't, and he felt like it was unfair that Shadepaw could. So he resented her. And any moment he got, when them two were alone, he would remind her, calling her heartless, saying it should have been her instead of Ratfur. These very cruel things, but they seemed to be the only thing that would ever make him feel better. Ashpaw was also a really easy target for him. Ashpaw didn't behave like the rest of the other apprentices, so it was so easy to pick on Ashpaw for anything. And Pridepaw being the only orange tabby in the clan, unless you count Speckled Nose, who's a tortoiseshell kind of thing. She was pretty easy to pick on too. He was sent to the medicine cat den a lot by his mother and the leader. I've written my Warrior Cats OC story to where it's practically the same as the canon books structure-wise, almost entirely, but I did add little tweaks here and there. For example, I made it so that medicine cats are trained in both healing physical ailments, but also the mental. These warriors go through a lot, and the fact that they don't really have a therapist is kind of crazy. So in my story, medicine cats are trained in therapy. The adults kind of knew that Batpaw had something going on with him. It's not like they were just sitting around letting him bully the other apprentices. They were trying their best to get him to stop, but it was clear that there was something going on with him in the head. He was getting sent to Speckled Nose, the medicine cat, a lot for therapy. But he wouldn't tell Speckled Nose anything. It seemed like he just could not be helped. Eventually, Inkpelt had had enough. Inkpelt already spoke to him before about his really bad bullying habits, but when she accidentally caught him calling Shadepaw a waste of prey, she had had enough. When he came back from training, she asked him to go with her into the depths of Shadow Clan territory. Of course, he threw a little hissy fit at first, because he had just gotten back from training. He wanted to chillax for a little bit. But Inkpelt wasn't having it. Batpaw begrudgingly goes. They walk a good while away from camp, somewhere where she is certain that nobody's going to hear them. She's not gentle this time. She sits him down and she begins to talk to him sternly. And she asks him, "Do you think Ratfur behaved this way when he was an apprentice? Or when he was a warrior? How about when he was a deputy?" Batpaw said no. Inkpelt continues. "Ratfur was a kind warrior, wasn't he?" Batpaw nods. After a moment of silence between them, Inkpelt finally says, "Do you think Ratfur would be proud of you right now?" Batpaw wasn't anticipating for that sentence to hurt the way that it did. And it hurt because he knew the answer to that. Ratfur would be disappointed. His silence was all that Inkpelt needed. She did not need a true answer. She gets up and she leads him back into camp as if nothing had happened. Of course, nobody hears one thing and then immediately changes who they are. Batpaw was still rude and arrogant, self-centered. He still did not like Shadepaw, and it was quite obvious at that. He still harbored resentment for her and anybody else who wasn't upset over Ratfur's death. But it was clear that something in him changed. He didn't go out of his way to talk badly to people anymore. He stopped picking on Ashpaw. He stopped intentionally riling up Pridepaw. And he stopped saying those horrific things to Shadepaw that were with the intention of being horrific. He was still rude, of course, and sometimes he would say something that was arguably very hurtful. But this time he didn't say anything with the intention of being hurtful. He was still a jerk, just not a jerk on purpose. Eventually, life goes on. And while he forever will miss Ratfur, the wound in his chest began to heal. Now, though, he harbored guilt. He, Pridepaw, Ashpaw, and Shadepaw were getting older. Soon enough, they'd be warriors. and he hasn't apologized to any of them. The guilt towards HIIII in particular grows even stronger when one day HIIII doesn't come home. Everyone in camp searched for HIIII, and during the gathering, shortly after HIII's disappearance, Stormstar, the leader of Shadow Clan, asked the rest of the clans if maybe they had seen HIIII. Nobody has. In Batpaw's mind, only two things could have happened. He ran away or he died. And either way, he was filled with this guilt that he never apologized to HIIII for picking on him so much. Even with this guilt, though, he didn't apologize to Pridepaw or Shadepaw. He was ashamed. He was afraid of rejection. He was scared they wouldn't forgive him. He was scared that maybe he didn't deserve the forgiveness. He tried subtle things, like saving a larger piece of prey for Shadepaw, or picking at the Elder's ticks so that Pridepaw wouldn't have to. But he just could not bring himself, out of pure shame for what he did to them, to go up and actually apologize. He felt pretty bad for Pridepaw, yeah. He went out of his way to make her angry. But it was Shadepaw in particular that he couldn't bring himself to speak to. She was his sister. They were supposed to be close, no matter what. He couldn't believe that there was a time where he said that he would have preferred her to die than Ratford. And when he actually laid down to think about it, it's very possible that he would have felt the same exact way had she died. If Ratford was still around, but Shadepaw was the one who passed away, Batpaw really felt like the exact same thing would have happened with him. He still would have harbored resentment for anybody who wasn't mourning as long as he was. His father died, and instead of getting closer to his sister, he pushed her away, in the worst way possible. Eventually, Pridepaw becomes Prideheart, Shadepaw is Shadesong. Batpaw gets the name Batfang. As you probably saw in the Speedpaint, his name was originally Batflight, but I just felt like it didn't suit him very well. I liked Batfang better because I feel like it complements his anger a lot more. But also because Stormstar's warrior name was Stormflight, and it felt a little repetitive. Batfang was a decent warrior. He didn't really stand out from the crowd. He'd avoid Prideheart and Shadesong for the most part. He was still friendly to Shadesong every now and then, but truthfully he avoided them as much as he could. He spent most of his time with his mother, or with undisclosed friends / love interest, because I haven't developed those characters yet, sorry. Whoops. Batfang battled a lot with depression. Nothing ever seemed to make him happy. Being around his friends or with his mother made him close to happy, yeah. But he was never truly happy. Most of the time, he didn't feel anything at all. And somehow, feeling nothing was the most overwhelming emotion he's ever had. At least before, when he was angry at the world, there was something filling up his chest. The void in his chest now was horribly overwhelming. Being full of nothing makes no sense, but it's exactly what he felt. One day, he came back from a patrol. He was laying down in the warrior's den, not doing anything really. Again, he wasn't feeling anything. He had no desire to do anything. Then he heard a yowl and a hiss. When he left the warrior's den, he realized that a battle had broken out in camp. A bunch of rogues attacking ShadowClan camp. Of course, he knew he had to defend his clan, there's no doubt about it. He found the nearest rogue and started attacking. The battle felt like it went on forever. And while Batfang was defending his clan, he couldn't help but wonder, what's the reason for this? Why are the rogues attacking ShadowClan? What did ShadowClan do? Did the rogues want territory? What's going on? He knew he wasn't going to get any answers, at least not until the battle was over. So he just battled with all his might. Up until the rogue he was battling fled. He turned around with the intention of just grabbing another rogue, but they were all scurrying off like a bunch of rats. And that's when he saw Prideheart looming over Shadesong. Prideheart looked mauled. He couldn't recognize Prideheart's face underneath all that blood, but he was more focused on what was laying down underneath her. His sister. Shortly after, Prideheart collapsed. Were they both dead? He heard his mother shriek. He saw her dash towards both of their bodies. Ravensong, Prideheart's mother, was also freaking out. They both dragged their respective children to Speckled Nose's den, and he stood there. He was shaken up. He didn't even know what happened. He didn't even realize that they were both struggling to battle so much. Were the rogues really that powerful? Powerful enough to kill them both? They were both some pretty strong warriors. Batfang was pretty beat up as well. So were a lot of other cats. Speckled Nose was very clearly overwhelmed, but he did his best. As Batfang laid in the medicine cat den and listened to the two mothers speak with Speckled Nose, Speckled Nose announced that Prideheart was in fact not dead, but she was going to be permanently scarred. Shadesong, however, she wasn't going to wake up. Inkpelt wailed, and Batfang felt a horrible pang go through his chest. He immediately went to sleep, thinking that maybe if he just went to bed, when he'd wake up in the morning, he would realize it was all just a nightmare, and everything can go back to normal. He'll still have time to make things right with his sister. But when he woke up, he was still in the medicine cat den. Prideheart was still asleep, but now Shadesong's body was gone. His injuries weren't deemed bad enough for him to stay in the medicine cat any longer, so he got discharged by Speckled Nose. He expected to see Shadesong's body there, and he expected to see some cats mourning her, but she wasn't there. It's not possible they could have buried her so early, right? He walked into the warrior's den, looking for his mother. She was there, curled up in a ball. He slowly padded over to her and asked her where Shadesong is. She didn't answer. He asked her, how could that rogue have possibly overpowered Shadesong? She's one of the strongest cats in our clan. Inkpelt looked up at him. Her eyes looked heavy. She had eye bags. She had been crying. She stared up at him for a little while, before answering. She led them. She led the rogues here. Batfang couldn't believe what he was hearing. There was no way. Clearly, grief had stricken his mother horrifically for her to think like that. So he asked, "What?" And she goes, "Pride Heart stopped her. Pride Heart killed her. Now the rogues will not come back." He decided to leave his mother alone. He wasn't in the morning patrol, so he just went out for a stroll, trying to take his mind off things, but weirdly enough, his sister that he hated for so long and later on felt so much guilt for, he was now feeling the same grief he felt when his father died. He felt bitter. He felt angry at the world. What more could they take away from him? The only kin he has left now is his mother. When he came back shortly after, he heard Stormstar calling for a clan meeting. During this clan meeting, he praised Prideheart for defending the clan. He praised her for not hesitating to do what was right for the clan. And he deemed her deputy. He then went on to say what little he knew about the situation and say that Shadesong was, in fact, the leader of the rogues. There was no way to deny it now. Batfang couldn't just blame it on his mother going a little crazy. Shadesong led the rogues there. For what reason was beyond him. But he couldn't believe it. Moons passed by. Prideheart was healed just fine and did her deputy duties amazingly well. She was not the same cat that she was before. She was a wonderful leader, but every time that Batfang looked to her when she gave out her orders, all he could see was the evidence of Shadesong being there. Her missing eye, the claw marks across her chest, all her scars, all were pieces of art that Shadesong left behind. Every so often he would find a tuft of her fur in his old nest. When he looked at his mother, he saw Shadesong. He felt like he was regressing back to what he was before. He was bitter. The difference now was that he just wasn't showing it. He was doing his best to bite back his tongue and hold his temper. But this life has done him wrong. He had a heart full of grief, a heart full of anger, a heart full of sadness. He could not remember the last time he was happy. A long time afterwards, a good deal of moons later, in the middle of the night, he went on a stroll. He walked and he walked. His paws trembled. He was nervous. But he couldn't live like this. He stood by the thunder path and waited for a monster to come. He dashed in front of its massive paws and then woke up in StarClan. And that is Batfang. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's been a long time since I have done an OC discussion. I'm thinking next time might be the start of a new type of OC discussion. I think I might do maybe D&D characters next time. But I'm always saying that. It's probably going to be another Warrior Cats character. But mark my words, someday I'll do another type of OC discussion. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, subscribe, because all of those help me so much. My commissions are open. Feel free to hit me up. I'm fixing my Squirrel Bites email. So, should you ever want to send fan art or, business inquiry or whatever, feel free to do so at squirrelbites@gmail.com. Join my Discord. We're very cool there. We're gonna start a D&D campaign maybe at some point. Who knows? Goodbye. I love you. Mwah! Oh, I forgot. Stay safe.